Okay lah, so welcome to Copy and Tech. This is our first episode. I think that one can use as intro, right? Yeah, okay. So anyway, today we're going to talk about... Actually, we still don't know what to talk about because it's our first episode. But it's just us lah, these two lah. It's either him or me on the video all the time now. So today we're not featuring anything actually. We're just talking about Test Bench. Right, Test Bench. We're just going to talk about what Test Bench is, who's it for, in what situations do you need it, or actually no situations at all. And before we go into that, let's talk about what we have here. Thanks to our friends from Asus, they've provided us with a...
Asus or Asus?
Actually, I don't know. I've always known it as Asus or Asus Tech, or is it Asus or...
I don't know, I call it Asus.
Yeah, okay.
There are people who actually call it Asus.
Asus.
Asus, we need a clarification on your name.
Hard also, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, thank you for providing us with the motherboard, the Z690 TUF Gaming, the GeForce RTX, which is also a TUF Gaming. This is a 3070, right?
Yeah,
3070 TUF Gaming. Power supply, they've provided us with the first gen ROG Tor. I call it ROG.
I call it Rob.
See? So again, I think this is subjective lah. I think preference lah. I call it ROG Tor. TUF or TUF? TUF. Okay. I think we agree on that.
That's the only common ground we have, right. I guess.
Okay. So this test bench build that we have here is actually, like I said previously, Z690 TUF Gaming from Asus. Asus TUF Gaming 3070. Gen 1 ROG Tor, which is a 850 watt. RAMs. Hey bro, where are the RAMs?
Oh yeah, the RAMs.
We took out the RAMs, huh?
Yeah. Sorry.
Don't need lah.
The RAMs are not really consistent lah.
So our test bench, we're actually gonna use the T-Force Nighthawk from Team Group. This is day 200 or 3600.
Day 200.
Day 200, 2 pieces of 8 gigs. So it's a 16 gig RAM kit. As you can see, we have a Flexi liquid cooling here, but generally test bench.
Wait. Flexi or soft tube?
I call it Flexi tube.
That's another difference.
Okay.
I call it soft tube.
Same lah. Same but different lah. Okay. The CPU blocks by EK.
Yeah.
EK Velocity, right?
EK Velocity, yes.
Yeah,
Quantum
EK
Velocity.
Quantum Velocity.
This is the first generation block, though. There is a second generation out there also.
Then for the pump, we are not using an EK pump. We're using an EK reservoir.
No, we're actually using an Aqua Computer pump res.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, you're using... Okay. Oh, yeah, we ran out of the EK pump.
Yeah.
So yeah, no EK pump. It's a very mixed combination. You can't see the radiator. Radiator is a 360 Corsair radiator. But that's not the highlight of our topic here. Highlight of our topic is actually test bench. This test bench here is by an old Malaysian company.
Yep.
Vector. How long has it been since they've actually stopped producing? How many years already?
Quite long, I guess.
I think a few...
I think they stopped producing somewhere in 2019, 2020, if I'm not mistaken.
Not that long, actually, before MCO lah.
Yeah, before MCO.
Lah. But actually, they do make very nice, good quality stuff. This one itself is actually very old. How old is this?
This was back in 2014, if not mistaken.
2014.
Some of you might actually realize this particular test bench. It was the only white one that was featured at CyberFusion 2014. Oh, it was a very old event actually.
Yeah, that one's also very old.
That was the launch of the Maximus Sabertooth Z97, I think.
Okay, we're going too far already. Sorry. But yes, the Vector test bench. So actually, if you can see from this design, this is actually quite old school. The newer age test bench are not like this anymore.
Yeah, there are more openings of the newer one.
More openings, actually more bare. This one is actually a box itself already. And I think there is even a way to install the motherboard inside.
Yeah, there is a way.
You can just like Spider-Man it upside down, right? Yeah, you can. So, test bench. What kind of people need this? Who needs this?
Basically, people who actually do a lot of testing lah. When I say testing, what I mean is people who do not actually use a component for a long period of time.
Yeah, just testing your stuff lah.
Just testing it, maybe once, maybe a week.
Reviewers,
mainly reviewers,
and
benchmarkers.
Yeah. But otherwise, I think that is for need lah. But for want, I mean, if you want it, you can get it. Just that the disadvantage is always exposed lah.
It's exposed. Yes.
It's a lot.
It's a dust magnet. End of the day.
Yeah, it also depends lah. So, but you can prevent the dust magnet. Some of them. This one comes with
the acrylic cover actually.
Acrylic cover. So if you have the acrylic cover, then okay lah. It's a display unit lah. So it's the original aquarium.
Yep.
But if you actually put a display cover on top, I think it'll be a terrarium already.
Yeah, it's more of a terrarium.
But okay, like, you cannot grow grass on top of it lah. But I think it's nice. It's just that it takes up a lot of space.
Yep.
A lot of table space. So,
I mean, table space is one thing when it comes to test benches. Like most test benches really take up a lot of space. Main reason why is because it has to be able to fit multiple forms of components. You're talking about ATX motherboards, eATX motherboards.
eATX are the worst. I mean, those guys don't conform to a standard, right?
Yes.
eATX always no standard. They lari here, they lari there. Suka, they throw you 7 PCIe slots.
Correct.
Suka, they throw you 8 RAM slots. Like,
so that is one thing.
I think the pump just farted, but okay.
One design fits all.
No, I think.
Or was it bubbles?
No, bubbles. So SATX is the only one that actually, up to SATX is the only one that actually has a fixed standard. eATX onwards, actually, they're a bit funny.
Yep.
It really depends on the manufacturer.
Correct,
yeah. So, but I think we don't go into the whole ATX discussion. It's pointless because it keeps changing. Although it is a standard, but somehow there's nothing new. But when eATX appears, it's always something nuts. Yeah. So why, like he said just now, why we need this is reviewers, benchmarkers. You always be plugging in and out your stuff lah. So GPU is always one of them. CPU, CPU benchmarkers won't be having this flexi tube thing lah. Of course, they have an air cooler.
They might go for an air cooler, or they might even just stick to liquid cooling. I know a few benchmarkers who still stick to liquid cooling. But soft tube.
No susah.
I mean, it's easier if it's soft tube compared to hard tube. Hard tube, everything is at a very a very rigid angle.
AIO also can. Since you say soft tube, then AIO is also possible.
Soft tube is generally just like an AIO at the end of the day.
Yeah, but more gaya.
Yeah.
And more messy, actually, if you're not good at cable management or tube management, right?
Yeah.
Soft tubing can be very messy, but recently we saw one which is very nice on YouTube, right? Yes. Yeah. So, remember the guy's name?
It was from builds.gg, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
It's a German page.
Yeah, he did his tube arrangement quite nice. He managed it quite well. He managed it like it looks like it's hard tube actually with perfect bands.
Correct.
Yeah, it's actually a soft tube. Surprising. Rams binning rams, bench testers. Like what's his name? Like anyone can think of from the top of your head that this guy has just been, but he uses normal casing, right?
Yeah. He uses a very old casing.
Very old casing. But yes, so if you're always binning your rams just to get the best RAM, this is for you lah. And if you guys wanna, actually for people who wants to show off their build at home, I mean nowadays with Instagram and all, right?
Yeah. Flex.
Yeah, test bench are actually a better casing to show off your builds, because you actually show off everything and everything is on display to the bare bone. Rather than putting in an aquarium casing, O11 or height, Y60. Y60.
Yeah.
Or even the Tech
Y60, PC011, what else?
O11D, O11XL. The other one is TechWear VX.
Yeah, TechWear VXM.
VXC or
VXC, VXR, VXM.
VXR is actually the weirder sibling among the three. VXM is the mini one.
Yeah.
VXC is the big one.
No, VXC is the compact one.
C is
the weird one. The R is the replica.
No, not replica. No, not replica. VXC is bigger than the VXM. I have the VXM. VXM is a small one.
Yeah, the VXC is a bit bigger than the VXM.
VXC can fit 360. 360.
Cannot fit 360.
Cannot.
Oh,
the VXR can.
VXR,
The VXR. Okay, anyway, we're not talking about that. But anyway, besides using aquarium casings, this one can actually show off your build more, but of course in exchange of table space lah. But actually it's also good. This one has much more easier access to your I/O.
Yeah.
Right, and you see everything is just down here. If I'm not sure if I set the camera angle correctly. We do not have a cameraman yet. It's a
two-man team.
Two-man team, three-man team. Every now and then it's three-man team, every now and then it's two-man team. It really depends who falls sick on the day. Yes. So this is a test bench. So we've told you the what, the who, the how, the why, and we're just gonna show you. That's it. Nothing much to show you, actually. No.
Maybe we can show them an alternative test bench that we have here also at the back.
I think if you want to see this,
this is something more trendy and newer in the market today.
For test bench. But you can see this entire build in our next episode, where my hair actually goes messy. So, alright, off to the B-roll and we'll end this episode. Thank you for watching.